Hi everyone, my name is Tiffany. I'm from Beijing, China. I go to a private university.
Hello everyone, this is Akshay. I'm from Mumbai, India. I go to a public university.
My name is Fatima, originally from Nigeria. I go to an HBCU, meaning historically black colleges.
My name is Tingwen, and I'm from Vietnam. I go to a community college.
I want to be able to influence the world, and the United States stands out as a pace setter in research. I'm so excited about being here.
In my opinion, U.S. degree is extremely impressive, and that makes studying abroad in the U.S. an excellent choice.
There are many types of institutions in the United States.
I think it's just so unique that there's so many to choose from.
I had to make a major choice between the type of university that I was supposed to attend. The major factor that I considered was the scholarship opportunities that were available and the alumni network.
I've heard so much about the HBCUs as historically black colleges. I chose those because I wanted a school that really represents me.
As a humanities student, I prefer seminars instead of lectures because I find myself better understand the material if we get to discuss it in class. That led into my decision of going to a private university.
I chose a community college to study because most of the community college offer affordable costs, and they often offer a lot of majors you can choose from.
Some of the things I find that are in common between different types of institutions in the U.S. is that the curriculum are more comprehensive.
It is more practical oriented that really helps you get hands-on experience about what you're learning.
Students can benefit from forward-thinking technology and modern facilities.
And I love the diversity, the fact that it's a melting pot for everywhere in the world. And so it's an awesome experience for me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our today's sessions. We are very happy that you are here today with us and you are live with us. We really appreciate your time. So my name is Alina Yakubova. I'm representing Education USA Virtual, and we are here today with another interesting webinar dedicated to a story of one of our Education USA students, and specifically to Oleksandra Pyshna. And but first of all, I would just like to introduce you more to the Education USA services. So you should know that Education USA Virtual is here to assist you with interesting webinars, with interesting courses that you can access on our website. And we are trying to offer you monthly interesting webinars, as I mentioned before, about the application process, not only for undergraduate students, but also to graduate students. So you can seek help here, and you can get the information that you need. The benefit of this webinars is that you can address your questions. So please stay as active as possible in these webinars, address your question, because you can get the answer from the first source. And yes, we can go on with our guest today. So we have Oleksandra from Ukraine. She is a first-year student at Caltech, Stanford. So hi, Oleksandra. Thank you so much for being today with us. And yes, I will give you the floor. You can just introduce yourself, tell us more about what you're studying, what is your major, and then we can just go on the list of the questions that we have prepared for you. We also have some questions that we've got from our students before this session, so we'll also answer them. And you are also able to submit your questions in the comment section. So guys, be active. Hi, Oleksandra, once again.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Oleksandra. I'm from Kiev, Ukraine, and now I'm a first-year student at California Institute of Technology. The system works here like that you don't have to select your major until the end of the first year. But when I was applying, I was pretty sure that I want to major in astrophysics. But also during the time what I already spent here, I decided to minor in computer science to somehow implement like computer science method in my astrophysics research too. So I'm 4 weeks now into my studying. It's already been quite intense here. So we already have our midterms, and almost all the time was spent on doing our problem sets and like working together. But what I really like here that we are allowed and encouraged to use collaboration during our problem sets, during our homeworks. So it's much more fun than just doing them alone. And also, like, interesting thing that I mentioned, we started our exams already, and all the exams that we are doing, we can bring them home and decide when we want to do them at home and just time ourselves. So we have such a thing as a honor code here at Caltech. So professors, teachers, they believe us that we will not cheat on the exams. So we actually can bring the exam home and do it at home and then send it. We have usually like 1 week to complete it. So it's really interesting system and unusual for me because I didn't really like saw that in my past, that teachers were so supportive and they allowed to do that. It was really surprising for me here.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay, and how is the first experience already for these 2 weeks? Have you met some friends? Have you already seen the campus, like analyzed it and browsed it? And how is it?
Yeah, I came here in 18th of September, and for the first week we had like kind of international students orientation. So domestic student didn't come yet, and we were like exploring the USA together with other international students, not only undergraduate but also graduate students. We had a lot of different sessions about like cultural shocks in US or medical things in US. We had a lot of like tours. We are living in the like small, comparably small town Pasadena. It's a very beautiful town, and we had some tours in the old town Pasadena in different places where we can eat in future. And then after that week, we had like general orientation for all of the students. It was, I guess, another week. And there we met much more people because there were only like 40 or something international students in our undergraduate class and like 200 students from US. So I met much more people from US than from international students, but still I found a lot of friends from international students only and from US students as well. And then
Okay,
we
that's
actually, yeah, started studying, and then it's when it became intense.
great. Then you already started with the multicultural environment kind of adaptation. Okay, so I will proceed to the list of questions that we have prepared for you, and then we'll focus to the ones that we've got from the students. I see we already get some of them in the comments. Okay, so you already said that, and we will specifically focus on the application process as a whole. So if you can just say a bit about how your research process started, and I would like to find out more information about how did you find the process of filling out the Common App. Did you encounter maybe some challenges when you were filling out the application, and what tips you maybe can share with the students?
Okay, I could maybe start from why I made the decision to go to US. So before war started in Ukraine, I was living in Ukraine, and I never thought about going somewhere abroad to study. But then when the war started, I moved to Belgium to live with my aunt. And there I started thinking, like, where do I want to go to the university? I didn't want to learn any other language. I never learned like any other language except of English. So I started looking at different options where I could get English language education. And as I was already very interested in astronomy, I was trying to get to find the place which will be the best for astronomy as well. So I was looking at like prestigious universities in USA and in UK. But in UK there is a problem that often you don't get a scholarship. That's why US was a priority from the very beginning, because it has like the best universities where I can study my subjects, and those best universities can offer me like full financial aid based on like your need, so need-based financial aid. So it just like when you're accepted, they give you as much money as you need based on their analysis. And then I started looking, like the first priority in the universities was of course financial aid, because no matter how good university is, if I get in and don't get financial aid, it would be impossible to go there. So it was like all of the selections of Ivy League universities, like Caltech, Stanford, even like Caltech and Stanford, they were like need aware. and I still applied to need-aware schools, even though I thought that my chances will be lower. But in the end, I ended up going to need-aware school. And also I applied to like average schools. Maybe they're also really good schools, but not a lot of people have heard of them. But they can offer me at least like almost full financial aid. So I applied too. I also tried to apply to some like very high acceptance rate schools, for example, like University of Hawaii, which didn't really offer a lot of scholarships. But I thought that if they like will be really interested in me, then can propose like some more financial aid than they usually give away to students. And in terms of Common App, in Belgium, I was studying in the International British School of Brussels. So there we had special people who helped us with application process. And I personally got to help like every day with like teacher assistant who graduated with philosophy degree from Yale. So he really like checked our writing, helped us to think about our essays, and just helped us with Common App in general. So it wasn't hard for me to fill it out because I always had some support from him. But what I found quite difficult, I had some challenges with filling out activities and honors section. Because when there are 10 activities, you don't really know, should I like cluster them into similar activities or should I just write them all separately? And what I was suggested to do, because I had a lot of astronomy activities, I had different astronomy activities. That's why I clustered different astronomy activities in my activities section. For example, I saw that some people did, like if they had different research projects, they would write them separately in activities section. But what I did, I like wrote them in one section. So I didn't really explain what I was doing. I said like 5 research projects, that amount of publication outcome, that amount of conferences presented at. And then in the additional section of Common App, I wrote down the explanation of what exactly that research was, what did I do, or like, because in different research projects, it's really important to point out what was your contribution. Well, it can be a first authored research project where you're the main person doing it, but sometimes it's a like collaborative project, and people who look at your application will really like to see what exactly did you do in that big project. And about honors section, like it's only 5 as I remember that you can list. So what I did there, I also like clustered different awards in one place. I didn't know if I could do that, but it worked, I guess. And like, for example, if you participated in the same competition twice, you can list that in one honor section. Don't just list them separately if you have other awards as well. And also, from what I remember, it was quite challenging for me to do the essay part, because before I came to Belgium, I had English only at school. And then I needed not just only write grammatically correct essays, I needed to think how they can be built more interesting and things like that. So it was really hard for me in the beginning, but our like teaching assistant from Yale, he really helped me to think about it. And what interesting, I mentioned that like for every essay, we didn't just start doing it and write something and then see how it looks. He always had like a kind of talk with me, like writing something on paper. So before writing any essay, we explored the possibilities about what you will be talking about in that essay, what should we include, what shouldn't we include, and things like that. So it was a very long process, but it was an interesting process as well.
That was actually my next question, but thank you so much for answering to that about the personal statement and essay, because that's one of the parts that the students are really struggling with. So thank you for the tips. And what was the topic? If you can just share about the topic that you wrote for your personal statement.
So I guess I selected a prompt which was connected to challenges in your life. Mm-hmm. So like a tip which that advisor given to me, it was like there are usually 4 parts of essays, personal essays that you can write. it's either like about your interest, and if you don't have like challenges in your life, you can write about your interest, but it's not the best version. Then if you don't have like particular interests, you can write the challenges in your life. But like the best version of an essay would be writing about challenges in your life, which also shows some other side of your interest, which is not like very academic or like factual information. And I wrote my essay on like explaining how during the first days of war, I needed to pack my things into one backpack because we were like very close to the border of occupied territory at that time. We lived like in the north of Kiev. So there was a moment where someone texted that they're already like coming into our town as well. So I needed to pack like very small amount of things really quickly. And I wrote like what I was feeling at that time, like how I made the choice, and that I took like my laptop because I had my research there. I took some textbooks if I will need to study something because I didn't know where we were going. I took like some other significant things, and through this like emotional connection, I wanted to show what like things in my life matters for me the most in those moments where you actually have to choose what to take with you and what you can leave behind. Yeah, the idea of this essay took quite a long of time to decide that I want to write about it. So you really also should spend quite a lot of time specifically for personal statement to think through what you want to write about. And what is also important, you should write about your interest and a challenge in your life, but you should write about your interest in the way it wasn't already mentioned in activities or honors. That way, you will not repeat things, you will provide new perspective. And also what's important in personal statement as well is to show like new perspective on you, which is not just activities and honors. So be careful with that, not just repeat or list your like awards again. You should show it from different side.
Really nice tips. Thank you so much, Oleksandra. Okay, and as you've said that you were interested to apply to a school that would be definitely available and able to offer you full financial aid. I imagine that you used also the CSS profile. So if you can just share about your experience completing the CSS profile and how was it, and comparing it to the Common App. I'm assuming that there you weren't receiving the help of your counselor from Yale. So yes, if you can just share a bit more details about the CSS profile specifically.
Yeah, if Common App was used by other students in our school as well, so we get some help. CSS profile was used only by me, and my Yale advisor, he didn't know what to do with it, so I needed to do it myself. And in general, it was harder because you needed to input more information, and it was harder because this information wasn't really interesting for you. So if you were writing like essays, explaining your activities, it's somehow interesting and exciting. But with CSS profile, it's more information with less exciting things that you should input. So it was harder for me in general.
Okay, good. And did you gather any special documents or information for the CSS profile that you didn't anticipate it? I mean, your case definitely was a bit more specific, but I guess there are some general information or documents or reports that you should submit in the CSS profile, and maybe what that was a struggling part for you. And if you can just point on that.
Yeah, I anticipated that I will need some kind of document from my father's job, that he was employed. No, I actually anticipated that I need like some bank statements of my father, but I didn't anticipate that they would ask some like additional documents of official employment, not just bank card statements. So I needed to add that too. And in general, it was really hard for me to calculate, like they have that section where you need to list how much on average you spend on like food, some household things in months. And I didn't know at all like how much my parents spent on that. And I was already living like for 2 years, not with my parents. So it was like very difficult to estimate with especially in, like inflated prices because of the war. So I needed to constantly ask them how much on average they spend. And I was really worried that they like the people who will be checking CSS profile, they will mention that it was like estimation, but I don't think that they really care a lot about actual precise price that you spent. It's just an average. But what you should do, I'm not sure if it's like essential, but what I did to be more calm, you should sum up the expenses that you wrote as estimations and see if it's reasonable to the monthly income. Because you can like estimate, and then that will be more than your monthly income, which wouldn't be really nice, and someone can mention that. So what I did, I just summed some different prices of some expenses and saw how they correlates with monthly income. And also I found that problem that there were some questions about like properties you own or car you own, not me, but my parents. And there, like, it also can look weird because at the time when we bought a house or we bought a car, it was very different price than it is now. And I needed also to estimate how that would correlate with current things. But it's really good that they have like, and they have first like initial price and then they have estimated price now. So they can see that price changed with years and it won't look weird now with current income.
Okay, thank you. Those were super great tips. So you've completed all the documents, you've prepared your application package, and you've sent your applications. Tell us about the application process. When did you apply? Did you apply via early decision, via early action, or via regular decision? How was it in your case? And what were the offers that you've got in the end, and why you chose specifically Caltech?
Yeah, Yale advisor like convinced me to apply early action Yale because I wasn't like forced to go there. I could choose to go there or not in future. So I applied early action Yale, and in the end I was deferred, and in the end rejected into when it was like not early action but general applications. And in general, I applied to around 20 universities. Well, there were like all of the top schools, like Caltech, Stanford, and Ivy Leagues. It was like something in the middle, like Swarthmore College, and something similar, Colby College, which could get me some financial aid. And also like University of Arizona, University of Hawaii, which are in very, very low end, for which I was not sure if I'll get a full scholarship, but it would be possible and I could try. And in the end, it was interesting that I was accepted only to 4 universities, which are all were in the very, very top. I was either rejected or like waitlisted in the universities in the middle and in the very back. And it was really weird, but probably I was told that because of financial aid, or I just wasn't a good fit to college. So, but it doesn't really matter because I got accepted where I wanted. Like my first choice was Caltech from the very beginning. So, and I got the regular decision result for Caltech. It was my first regular decision result. So I was sure that I'm going there when I got it. And what interesting things I did quite a few interviews for different schools, especially for some Ivy League schools in person and not in person as well. And also I got the experience of receiving a likely letter from Columbia University. It's like when usually it's the thing which Ivy League University do, when they really want you, they send you like a small letter in like the end of February that like the decisions are not out yet, but we really want you and you will be more likely accepted to us. And it was interesting story with Columbia University because I knew that they will accept me during the regular decision. But then when they accepted me, they started like writing me, tell us how much other universities offered you and we will reconsider our price. So in the end, they like gave me full financial aid, so with $0 to pay. But I still didn't go to them because it wasn't my first choice in the beginning. They also offered me like a Rabi Scholar program. It's a program where you can't apply, but you can be selected during application process. It's like inside research program in Columbia with a lot of benefits. And also, so in the end, let's say I was accepted to Caltech, Stanford, Columbia, and Brown. And I can compare like financial aid because some people think that like this need-based financial aid based on the same CSS profile will be estimated the same. But no, like prices were really different. For example, from Columbia, I got $0. From Caltech, I need to pay like around $5,000 per year. And Stanford wanted $10,000, so 2 times Caltech price. So you need to really keep in mind that like the financial offers from different universities will be different when you accept it. So don't just assume that like if, I don't know, Harvard offered you $0, your first choice university later will offer that as well. So reject Harvard now. So you really need to think and wait until you get all of the offers to compare them. Well, if you're okay with what your first choice university proposed, you can reject the others. But it's usually interesting to see what they will propose to you, just for experience. So that's what I did.
That sounds super inspiring. Thank you so much, Oleksandra. Okay, so I think I'm done with my questions, and we will focus on the ones that we've got before this webinar. So one of the questions was, how difficult is it to study astronomy in US, and how it is different from what we have in Ukraine?
So from the very beginning, I want to say that I've never experienced university education in astronomy in Ukraine. I have some people there that I know, but what I will be talking about now, it will be just my ideas, how it looks in Ukraine and how it's different in US. So it's not just like fair comparison maybe. But in general, like subjects are generally harder here. For example, in our university, I know that in Kyiv they also study real analysis during the first year. But our real analysis, so for example, for comparison, in European universities, students usually study real analysis for some engineering, math, science programs only at the second year of their bachelor. Real analysis, it's like, we can say that it's partially calculus, but you need to you go from y1 plus x is equal x plus 1 to proving why integral works. And you always have to prove your work, what you've done. So I know that Caltech is probably the only one university in the world which offers real analysis at the very first course, and it's obligatory. So we don't do calculus because they assume that we already done it in our high school. So we start from real analysis from the very, very beginning. It's very hard proof-based course. Somebody says that it's the hardest course you will get in Caltech because you really have to prove everything you do in your problem set, and you can get subtracted points if you didn't prove some very famous formulas which we usually used in high school. If you're using them in your problem set for real analysis, you have to prove them too. So math is probably harder than in Ukrainian university for astronomy. And in general, I'm not sure how physics classes, astronomy classes compare, but I definitely sure about their main difference is that here really a lot of people might say that in US it's a lot of hands-on education. It doesn't mean that we get less advanced theoretical. You can actually select here at Caltech if you want more theoretical track or the practical track. But even when you do theoretical track, you'll still get some hands-on application of what you do into some projects. And in general, I like astronomy courses. I haven't done any yet, but I know what I will be doing next year and all the other years. For example, there is like a course where you like, it's not a lot of units, but it's just like enjoyable course. When you go to the houses of most of the astronomy professors in our Caltech Astronomy Institute, and you just talk, they like make you tea, and you just talk about like astronomy career in academia, meet their family. So it's not really academic, but it's also really important to hear from professors in non-academic environment how their life looks like and how it could be for you. Also, we have, I guess it's very interesting university because like more than 90% of first-year undergraduate students enroll in research during their first year. So we have very strong like research culture, and you can get like academic credit for research. So it's not like you do research outside of your courses when you have free time. You do it and you actually get the credit for it. So you can like, don't do this class, but do research instead, which is also really nice. And just in general, like you just walk around the campus and you can see a couple of Nobel Prizes, or they can teach you the course. Sometimes you don't even know that they're Nobel Prize winners, because I personally don't know everyone as well, but you can just meet them. You can meet a lot of people which you saw like in science documentaries or about which you've heard from books where you were like studying in Ukraine. And it's really exciting. And what even more, you can even like come to them and talk to them and be employed in their lab. So I know my friend like who does some kind of biology. He recently got employed into a Nobel Prize winner lab. And he didn't have a lot of experience in that particular topic, but if you have some skills and passion, they will most probably like let you in and work on research with very, very famous people, which is different from Ukraine because, in Ukraine you can do research, but it's not such a big concentration of the best specialists in the world. So it might be a different experience than what I have in US. For example, I'm already also enrolled in some research in Institute of Astronomy, and it's also really exciting. So that's, I feel, will be the difference. And just in general, like I got not really positive like ideas about Ukrainian education, not in terms of like quality of education, but in terms of like your like mental health and things like that. It can be like quite depressing in sometimes. But here it's like no matter how hard the classes are, you will be allowed to collaborate with people. You have some fun time. Like in general, we always have some fun time here. Maybe I will talk about that a bit later if someone wants to hear like how my day looks like, because we have a very like interesting social system here, system like of dorms that we are living. So for example, now I'm not just in the block of dorms. I live in a house which has its own traditions, its own name, merch, like everything we do, like some distinct things which other houses don't do. We have our own common room, like dinner hall, where we have dinners every day together. And it's really exciting that like you do hard classes, you do like groundbreaking research, but at the same time you can have fun. And I really like that. And I feel that it's different from what you have in Ukraine.
That sounds super inspiring. Okay, and the second part of that question was, if I also take part in Olympiads in astronomy in Ukraine, nationals and international, will it help me to get in university and get a scholarship?
Yeah, it would definitely help. Like, it's not only thing you need, but if the question is, would it help? Yes, it would help. And about scholarship, I guess in the top universities, they don't really look at your like achievements when they decide how much scholarship they will give you. It's like more how much you need. So it's even good because you will receive as much as you need based on your parents' income or your income if you're earning some money. But there are some universities who base in it on your achievements. So it would be, also interesting to look how that correlates, but I didn't have experience with university with achievements-based scholarships. And in general, from what I've heard, international Olympiads are more useful than nationals, logically. But if you input national Olympiads as a part of your application, not the main achievement, it would definitely help as well. What I see here, we don't have a lot of people who did like Olympiads in our class at Caltech, but almost all people did like some research projects. So that's what I think would be more useful, but it depends what research project. Like it should be a research project with some visible outcome, so either publication or presentation at the conference. So it won't just be like doing something for a year and then you got some results, but not really like quantitative results that you can share. And in general, in your application, you should focus. So everything you input should have like quantitative result if it's like honors or activities section. Like in essays, you can talk about things that you enjoy. Like, for example, if you do some sports, but you didn't get any awards, you still can talk about it in your essay. But it's not really a good idea for top universities to include something which in what you didn't get some particular results in activities or honor section. But you still can talk about it in your essays if you're interested in that. So focus on the things, if you're like preparing your application or thinking what you should do to be admitted, just think about the things which can have some quantitative result. And Olympiads are a very good example of that because you get some award in the end, like if you win it. So it will be visible that you got something. With research projects, it's different. So try to get like publication or conference presentation to show that you actually got some valuable results in the end of it. And in general, don't really think like, what should I do to be admitted and to get a scholarship? For example, I selected my first choice university, Caltech, not based on like I was looking at the rank and I was like, oh, it's a good university. I should do more research projects to get into it because it likes research projects. I just thought like in the beginning, so I do my research now. I really want to do it in a very cool place. So what university will be suited for me? So it shouldn't be like you should be suitable for that university. You like look at the university and try to do things which will make you more appealing to the university. You should look at yourself and look for the university which will suitable for you in your current state, not like in who you will become in future based on university preferences. So that's what I did. It was like with Caltech, I had like the most like stronger connection, like mentally. I was really worried that I won't get in, but I thought that I won't get in because this year it was like less than 1% acceptance rate for international students. And especially a lot of people here don't even believe me that I'm international because I have like almost full financial aid. And it's almost impossible to get in here because of need where you're international, and it's Caltech in general. It's like 2-point-something% for all of the people here. So some people really don't believe that I'm international here because I got full financial aid, and it would be like almost impossible to get in. But it shows that everything is possible, and they really, when looking at my application, like saw that I'm really interested in attending Caltech. I did some research which is connected to Caltech. So I was really glad. And also, if you are going to apply to Caltech, it's, as far as I know, the only university in the world which gives your application to review to some graduate students or faculty in Caltech for 40 minutes. It's not just go through and write some quick review. It's 40 minutes of review of your whole application by graduate student in your field or faculty member. So it's really exciting. You don't have to worry like with other universities that they won't get what you were doing. Yeah, they will get, and they will assess it very fairly, like as an expert in their field, how much value your activities have in your field. So it's really a nice part as well.
That's great advice. And from this question comes the next question that we also got from another student. And that was a question that I didn't give you at the beginning. Why astrophysics? Because I guess everyone is surprised about this major. You know, we would normally have computer science or engineering, but astrophysics, it's a rare major, especially for a girl. So we have the woman in science thing. So I think that's super inspiring. So if you can just say why astrophysics exactly.
Yeah, starting from like astrophysics at Caltech, this year we have 16 students in astrophysics, which is very big number based on the whole class, which is like 230, 240. And most of them are girls, I guess. There's only like one boy. And in general, like at Caltech, it's the first year where we had 51% of girls and 49% of boys in a common class. So it was really celebrated as well. But about my journey in astrophysics, like in the beginning, as I think a lot of people did, in around like year 6 or year 7 of Ukrainian school, I started being interested like in quantum physics, like physics of elementary particles. I started like to learn English more, to read like English textbooks about it. I started to learn calculus to be able to understand the theory. Of course, I started like from very like not advanced scientifically popular books, but then I wanted more and more, so I went and started studying like the actual theory behind it. And then I have a very talented friend who is now studies at Scotland. He's only 1 year older than me, but he already has like, he's very established cosmologist, let's say. He does some research in theoretical cosmology, and like people don't believe that he's only like second year undergraduate student because his achievements are very high. And then one summer I've met him through some like mutual people that we knew. And he said like, it's very good that you're interested in physics, like you study it. But I would advise you like to go to my supervisor with who I started. He's like the head of Junior Academy of Science Astronomy Club, and try to do something with him because that's how I started, and now I have lots of publications and I'm very like good person in science. So I agreed to do that. So I went, it was the autumn of 2021. It was just before the war started. So I went to that astronomy club. And before I went to astronomy club, I didn't really think about astronomy. Well, I thought like physics side of it, but not astronomy in general. And I didn't have a lot of experience, so I was worried that like I'm no one in astronomy, what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna do my own research if I don't really know it. But then that actually allowed me to be more hardworking. Like I studied more, I like explored more facts, and when I selected my first topic for a research project, I was doing it like constantly. I sometimes didn't sleep because I was really, really excited with that idea that I can do something in science which will get like real impact. For example, before I did some like competitions and Olympiads, but then like the best outcome of it, you will win like international Olympiad. But science was different for me because there you can actually publish something which will be useful for other people, and it's not what usually done by high school students. And you can do it like throughout all of your life. When I got like my first publication, I was so happy and excited that I can actually do that as a high school student. But then when the war started, I was worried that I will be doing it like online will affect it negatively. But in general, it turns out that because I was being in Europe, I was added by my supervisor to international collaboration on gravitational waves. So it even opened more possibilities to me because I could go to some workshops in person, meet a lot of people. And in science, what you will encounter if you will do science, not only your achievements matter, but also which people do you know matters. Like I've seen that in my early stages of career a lot of times. For example, I knew that very famous professor from US who I've met in France, And because of that, like when we had some summer school in Minnesota this year, I just like texted him if I can apply, and he already said like, you don't even have to apply, I'll just sign you up for it, you can come. Even though it was like only PhD school, graduate student school, he still allowed me to go because he knew me from Paris. So there are a lot of interconnections. I guess it also helped me to be admitted to Caltech, because that collaboration, it's very known in Caltech as well, and people who I worked with, they're known in Caltech. And as my application was looked at by some faculty members, they probably mentioned that, and they were like, oh, she worked there, we know people there, she knows people there, so we should take it her. So when you will be like thinking, if you're thinking about scientific career, pay attention also to which people you are talking to, people that you know. And if you once will come to the research conference, don't be shy and just like present and stay somewhere in the corner. Try to talk to anyone, even if it's a Nobel Prize winner. Like, it wouldn't be bad if you do that, just introduce yourself, but then you'll get a lot of people who knows you, a lot of people who you know, and it will definitely help in your research career.
Thank you. Great advice. Okay, so we will proceed now then to the list of the questions that we've got during the live. So one of the question is, what should include in a personal statement essay? And I think you already answered this question, but we can answer to the second one. What types of homework do you usually get, and how much time do you spend on it per week?
So like for each subject, I'm taking now the core classes. So it's that real analysis plus physics, chemistry, CS, and like physics seminar. And for physics, chemistry, and math, we get one problem set for the week, but it's very hard. Like you should spend, I usually spend most of my week doing math, because math is the hardest subject. In physics, it depends like what topic is it. If you knew it already quite a lot, you can do it quickly. If you don't, you can spend also a week on it. But in general, it's like 6 hours per problem set of pure work. So you just usually extend it during the week. If you do it with other people, and like 12 hours of pure work if you do it alone. And you have like 3 problem sets for physics, chemistry, and math. Then you have exams, which are like for physics is every 2 weeks we have exam, which you also should have time for. For example, our math midterm, which is going to be next week, will take 5 hours in one sitting, and there will be 2 parts. And it's like 10 hours in total of exam. And exams, you should do exams. And for CS, we get 1 project per week, but project consists like 20 parts or something. And if you don't know how to do it, it will be really hard to do it quickly as well, if you're just new to Python, which we do now. But how the system works here with homework and everything, you have lectures as usual. Then you have recitations where TAs, it's people who help you, will go through the lecture quickly again, and they will give you some practice problems, or they will like explain how to do practice problems, which will help you to do homework. And then if you're like not enough with that practice, you can come to office hours of any TA you want from your course, and he will explain you whatever questions you have during 1 hour. He can't tell you like the answer to the question, but he can like give you hints. And if you don't understand something from lecture, he can also explain it to you. So if you are not good after lecture, you can go to recitation to practice. If you're not good with recitation practice, you can go for office hours for more guided thing. And if you just don't, well, almost everyone has friends already here, but if you don't know particular people who does your course, but you want to do homework together because it's faster, there are also problem sets workshops where you just sit in a very big room and do homework together. So even if it's hard for you, you'll find a way to finish your assignment. And it's usually like to get A, you need like starting from 93% to 100%. And A star or A plus is from like 95, 97% to 100. Well, it's pretty hard here to get that. But so far, after 2 weeks, I'm getting only A's and A pluses. I guess it will change soon, but like our first 2 terms, it's only pass fail. So we have like, for example, some number of percent that you should get to pass, and then you don't have grades. So it will be like for math, it's if you get more than 60%, you will pass, and no matter what grade you got. But the problem is that you still get like shadow grades, which do not affect your GPA, they do not affect anything, but they go to your academic advisor. And because I'm doing research, if I get like pass, but not really good grade, which will advisor will see, he can say to me like, well, focus on your classes more, don't do research. That's why I'm trying still to get good marks, even though it doesn't really matter at this point. And also it's good like to prepare yourself for graded assignments, like for where you will get a grade, not just pass fail. Because if you just relax now, then it will be hard and you can get actual bad grades in your GPA if you're not prepared for it. So I'm still trying to get like good grades.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Very detailed answer. I really hope that students will consider that. So these are really practical tips that they can use. The next question, have you taken the SAT? Could you please share how it goes and some tips?
Yeah,
I can sorry to interrupt you, Oleksandra. If you can just be really quick on the questions that we still have here. So we have 8 more minutes for our webinar. So yeah, we have 3 more questions.
Okay, I took SAT, yes, but I didn't like include it in most of my applications, only to the universities which require. But as I've heard now, even Caltech requires SAT, so it would be really useful. I took it in Belgium. I took it 2 times. For the first time, I didn't prepare at all, and I still got a good grade for math and almost maximum, and not really good grade for reading. For second time, I prepared more, and I got like almost perfect grade for math and better grade for reading. So I used like resource, which I was in competitive college club from Education USA, and they got me access to Magoosh platform, which has very good practice tests. So I didn't practice all of them. That's why I guess I did not perfect, but I really believe that if you actually do all of the explanations and practice a lot, you can get a perfect score in SAT. Especially for math, it's quite easy. It's just quite stressful when the time is very small to do some problems, but problems are extremely easy. It just like you can have some small error, but if you do it like a couple of times, you can get still a perfect score. And for reading, like that Magoosh course have a lot of like practical tips how to approach the questions, which kind of questions you can get. So if you use that resource, I guess you will be fine.
Perfect. Thank you. You guys can also relate on the webinar that we've had with a representative from College Board about the SAT test. So Matthew shared there also some useful resources that you can use for the preparation for the test. Okay, another question. Which Olympiads and researches can you advise to take part in? I think you've shared some of them. Are there any USA organized Olympiads which are open for international students? I don't know if you know about some of them.
I guess I know about some of them. First of all, I'll start from Olympiads and researchers. I won't expand on research which doesn't connect to competitions, but it's much more interesting than competition research, but I don't have time for that. So I'll just talk about competition research and Olympiads. So in Ukraine, you always like to get into international level, you have to pass the national level. So for Olympiads, it's just like typical national Olympiads, which are organized each year for a lot of subjects. And then if you win some particular prize place at the national level, you can go to international. It's usually like International Physics Olympiad, International Astronomy and Astrophysics Olympiad, things like that. And about researchers, usually if you want to, for example, to go to, I guess you might heard about International Science and Engineering Fair. It's considered like the most prestigious research competition in the world, and it's organized usually in US. So, for example, this year, this was here in Los Angeles. And to get there, you still need to pass national round of Junior Academy of Science competition. So we can't just have a project and go there. And with Junior Academy of Science competition, you, as far as I know, you can select where you will be going. But usually if you want like a good place and you have some projects, some experts will look at your project and think like you go to that competition, you go to that competition. All of them, those competitions are international, so it's good. But from as far as I know, you can select where you're going. So with Olympiads, it's more precise where you will be going because it's not a lot of Olympiads where you can participate, and it's different for research projects. But yes, you can be sent to some US organized competition after Junior Academy of Sciences competition.
Perfect. Thank you. The next question, why did you choose Caltech as your first choice school?
So during my high school, I did a lot of research in gravitational waves, and especially in following up optical counterparts of gravitational waves. And it is the area of astronomy and physics which is the most advanced here at Caltech. Like Caltech and MIT, they co-host the LIGO lab. It's like the ground-based detector of gravitational waves, but Caltech usually like takes more part in LIGO because, for example, we also have summer research fellowship in LIGO, which is from Caltech, but students from other universities can also apply for it. So like a short answer will be that it was best suited with my interest in astronomy and in astronomy in general, because I believe that it's the best place to do astronomy based on class sizes, because you'll get a lot of attention of professors, based on research focus, because it's the most research focused school in US. So you will definitely get an opportunity to do a lot of research projects, not only one. And certainly like the people who are here and how approachable they are because of small size, it's also like a treasure. Because if you're, for example, in big schools like Harvard, MIT, you might meet some Nobel Prize winner or famous person, but you won't have time or sometimes opportunity to even talk to them. But here, because everyone knows everyone, it's like you can work with any person you want at some point, which is really exciting, and it's more opportunities for research here.
That sounds great. And the last question, how important your school grades are for applying to a, say, university? I can also share my opinion after that, but you can say about your case.
From what I've heard and from my own experience, well, it's definitely less important than, for example, grades for UK, because in UK you have like predicted grades, and if you get one grade like 1 point less than what you expected to get, then you will be kicked out of the university. But here it's like, because US looks at your achievements, also other academic achievements and non-academic achievements, it's not so important. I would say that if you're aiming for top schools, it's better to have like A's and A pluses only, but a couple of B's, I don't think they will hurt your chances. But if it's like a lot of B's or a C, it might. But in general, if you, for example, took that like very complicated math class and got a B plus for it, it's still very nice. So they will look at your own situation. And you can also explain your grade. Like, for example, I missed that exam, or it was hard, or teacher was not nice, so everyone got bad grades. So you can always explain if it wasn't like your particular fault in your like additional common up section. If you feel like you're really bad because of that B, you can still explain it.
Perfect. I can also share my opinion. So, but Oleksandra already added that there is a holistic admission review process. So the admission commission will definitely consider not only your grades, but your application as a whole. And yes, especially if you're applying for financial aid, I think it's essential to have really good grades, and definitely not a perfect, but a good application package in general. So yes, you should consider them, and don't relax when you have applied and you have one more semester. So please consider the fact that they will still look for your grades even though they have accepted you. So yeah, that's also important. We still got 2 more questions, so if we can be quick about answering them. How did you prepare for SAT test day? Maybe you set up your laptop or went to the exam center to be sure where it is?
So I set it up my laptop before I went to exam hall because it was like a requirement. But it's not hard. You just like download the app. I guess it's called Blue Book, and you might change some settings of your computer not to access some external sources while you will be doing tests, but you can do it just before the test. And usually, if you haven't done it, some people at the testing center will help you to do it if you have some questions. Even if you, like, for example, don't have a device to do it, you still can like ask in advance that you'll need a computer, and they will provide it for you to take your test.
Perfect. I can also refer again to the SAT exam webinar that we've had, but you will also get the instructions as soon as you will log into your profile. So Matthew explained it really good, what you should consider when you are at the test center, or either if you're doing that online. So go once again over the instructions. I think you can also access them on YouTube, so those are pretty accessible for everyone. The next question, what did you write about you on a CV, which made you different from other students, maybe?
So I wrote a lot of things about me in CV, but what I guess was different from other students, like doing research is common in US for high school students. Like almost anyone here at Caltech does it. Well, because it's Caltech anyway, but I did a kind of research which is not really common for high school student, because I did like common high school student research with my own projects and my own publications, but I also did not really common research where you're like fully accepted to the scientific collaboration, and then you do a lot of work and you're treated as a like actual established researcher. Like they add you to the publication, they allow you to make contribution even though you don't have a lot of experience. I got into that accidentally because like when my supervisor was adding me to that collaboration, they thought that I'm like a PhD student or something. Like he wrote, my student wants to add, and he's like our head of collaboration thought that I'm a PhD student. And they didn't know what age I am before I came to the first in-person workshop. That's why they didn't really have any like, oh, you're not even undergraduate students, we won't allow you to work on this project, which usually happens. Usually this collaboration don't even accept undergraduate students because usually they can have like some impact on research and they're not allowed to do things. But because they saw during like 3 months where they didn't know my age, then I can do some useful stuff. They like allowed me to stay there, and I'm still working in there. And I also like currently I'm advisor for some new people, so they don't really care about my age. So I can even teach people on that collaboration. I can collaborate on the equal rights, which is quite unusual because if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be even accepted to such kind of collaboration. It's very unusual and usually weird in the research world, which other students didn't get to do because they have like professor who guides them through their own project and then they finish project. I had a lot of projects to which I didn't get a lot of supervision, like almost non-supervision, but which got publications and are accepted as very good projects by scientific community, which is also unusual because I've learned most of the methods and things by myself. And also like just that I was working in that collaboration, which is usually only for researchers who already have experience, was different. And just for Caltech specifically, I was working with people they know a lot and who are very popular in the field, which also created an impact, I guess.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I think we are done with all the questions that we have received and all the questions that we've got before the webinar. Thank you so much, Oleksandra. So much interesting information and a lot of useful tips. I'm really hopeful that the students will will use that for their research and application process. Thank you so much, guys, for addressing the questions. Thank you for staying up with us. We still have one more webinar that is scheduled for October, and soon we'll post the list of the webinars we'll have for November. Stay tuned, subscribe for our YouTube page, stay on our website for more information. Thank you, Oleksandra, once again for joining our team for webinar. Thank you for participating and sharing all this nice information. And to you guys, I can just say a great end of the day. Thank you once again for being today with us. You have the opportunity to see this video after it ends now, because it's going to be on our YouTube page also. And I wish you luck with your application. So if you're now in the process of preparing it, a lot of patience and a lot of success. Thank you once again, and have a great day.